Good evening and welcome to the Coon Rapids City Council meeting for Tuesday, April 16th, 2024. If you could please rise and join us for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Griscoviac.
Here.
Councilmember Rayrauer.
Here.
Councilmember Novak.
Here.
Councilmember Geisler.
Here.
Councilmember Armstrong.
Here.
Councilmember Carlson.
Here.
Mayor Cook.
Here. Thank you. I think I'm almost dry from opening my water. All right. The next thing then is to adopt this evening's agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Geisler.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the agenda with one addition. We would add item 1.5, a proclamation for vendor recognition. Or volunteer recognition, I'm sorry.
There you go.
It's one of those of you.
When are we recognizing vendors?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Motion by Geisler and a second by Carlson. Is there any discussion or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, and the agenda is adopted. And the very first thing this evening is something very fun. And I'm sure when the cameras came on and everybody was looking at home, they saw the back of all these crowns across the top. We are very fortunate tonight to have a lot of royalty with us. And the very first thing we're looking at is a 2024 Junior Royalty Proclamation. And I think Diane should be here somewhere. Is Diane here? No. Oh, okay. Then I'll bet you who's coming up in charge then? Anybody? Or am I just winging this or what? I can wing it. I'm okay with that.
Nope, I think we have a
All right.
young lady here who can help. Or she was standing.
All right,
there,
well, that's fine. What do you need here? I don't need anything.
Sit down, Tiffany.
Why don't we start with the junior royalty? We'll have you come right up front by the dais. Who's our junior royalty folks? We'll probably have others join you and you can hang in there with us, but we'll start with that. So, we're going to start with our proclamation. It's the Coon Rapids Royalty 2024 Ambassadors of Goodwill. Whereas the Coon Rapids Snowflake Association has conducted its annual winter celebration in our community for 60 years and provided entertainment, amusement, and recreation for our citizens, and at the same time promoted our city throughout the state of Minnesota. And whereas the Coon Rapids Snowflake Association revived the Junior Royalty of Coon Rapids competition in 1991, and in 2024, it was renamed to the Coon Rapids Royal Ambassador Program. And whereas contestants compete to become members of the royal family and act as ambassadors for the city of Coon Rapids at parades, community events, and volunteer socials for a one-year period, and are required to perform numerous hours of community service within our own community during their reign. And whereas the Coon Rapids Royal Ambassador Program's philosophy is for the children and their families to have fun while fulfilling their community obligations. And whereas, through a competition of poise and personality, the Coon Rapids Royal Ambassador Committee selected the following Royal Ambassadors for 2024. And is it Mutic? All right. Teen Ambassador Lily Mutic. Petite Ambassador Ava Anderson, Teen Ambassador Maddie Johnson, and Petite Ambassador Malin, is it Costigan? All right. Now, therefore, I, Jerry Cook, Mayor of the City of Coon Rapids, on behalf of the Coon Rapids City Council, hereby designate the Coon Rapids Royal Ambassadors to be the Coon Rapids Ambassadors of Goodwill. Be it further proclaimed that the royalty shall go forth within our community and neighboring communities throughout the state to represent the citizens of Coon Rapids, spreading goodwill and friendship, and participating in community celebrations, pageants, parades, and other civic activities and public events, proclaimed the 16th day of April, 2024. Why don't we take a moment, and now you can actually just introduce yourself. How's that?
Just my name. Hello, my name is Lily Mudick.
My name is Maddie Johnson.
My name is Malin Costigan.
My name is Ava Mae Anderson.
This is a really significant point of this program. My daughter did this twice in like 2002, I think, and then later as a teen. And throughout the whole program, they get the mic, they get to introduce themselves, and when the camera comes out, they learn how to just go and get this big smile on. It's going to be very life-changing for you, and we are so thankful that you are stepping up to be the ambassadors. What's your first activity or first parade? Who wants to share? Do we know?
I got it.
All right.
Our first parade is the St. Francis Parade.
Okay, Pioneer Days. I
yeah.
think it is. Okay, so is that May or something? Or
June 1st.
June 1st?
Yeah.
All right. You guys all excited?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm going to give that to you to give to whoever is in charge now. And is there anything else you want to cover or say? All right. Thank you so much for coming up. I really appreciate it. How about the, what am I looking for? Now I'm looking for the, this shouldn't be that tough. Did I just give you, let's see. Oh, I'm looking for the Miss Coon Rapids teen. Yeah, oh no, not Miss Coon Rapids yet. Miss Coon Rapids teen. We're doing, I have 4 of these, you know. Sorry about that. It was halfway down the page. Say, pronounce your last name.
Selyukov.
Say it again.
Selyukov.
Oh, that's not right. Are you sure?
I'm positive.
All right. Very good. Welcome. I have a proclamation, Coon Rapids 2024 Ambassador of Goodwill. Whereas the Coon Rapids Snowflake Association has conducted its annual winter celebration in our community for 60 years, some of this is redundant, and has provided a variety of community activities for our citizens while promoting Coon Rapids throughout the state of Minnesota. And whereas the Miss Coon Rapids Scholarship Program has conducted its annual pageant in our community for 59 years and has provided a variety of scholarships for young women while promoting Coon Rapids throughout the state of Minnesota. And whereas through judging, including competition in talent, interview, evening wear, onstage question, health and fitness categories, Abigail Selyukov, am I close? Okay, you gave it twice. I should have had it, but was crowned Miss Coon Rapids Teen 2024. And whereas Miss Coon Rapids Teen will act as an ambassador for the city of Coon Rapids at parades, community events, and volunteer socials for a 1-year period and promote goodwill and community stewardship within our own city during her reign. And whereas Abigail Selyukov will represent the city of Coon Rapids at the Miss Minnesota Teen Pageant in June of 2024 to vie for the title of Miss Minnesota Teen. Now, therefore, I, Jerry Cook, Mayor of the City of Coon Rapids, on behalf of the Coon Rapids City Council and the citizens, do hereby proclaim Miss Coon Rapids Teen Abigail Selyukov to be a Coon Rapids Ambassador of Goodwill. Be it further resolved that Miss Coon Rapids Teen shall go forth within our community and neighboring communities throughout the state to represent the citizens of Coon Rapids, spreading goodwill and friendship while participating in community celebrations, pageants, parades, and other civic activities and public events. Proclaimed the 16th day of April, 2024. That's a lot. Did you know you were signing up for all that?
I mean, I knew what I was signing up for. My mom didn't.
There you go. Please introduce yourself and maybe tell us something about what
Okay.
you're looking forward to or doing or.
Okay. Hello, my name is Abigail Selyukov. My community service initiative is Grateful Hearts, which is all about the importance of gratitude and how vital it is in each and everybody's lives to just be a positive aspect and to say a simple thank you and how important that is for everybody. I am excited to be performing on Miss Minnesota stage. Hopefully I'll see you guys there June 21st. So Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. There's your proclamation. Congratulations. Thank you. And this. Are you ready? Miss Coon Rapids, please. And then I think when we're all done, we'll probably have you all come up and we'll get one picture with the royalty and everybody at the end. So don't go anywhere. Hello. Hello. All right, let's just make sure. And is it model?
Yes.
All right, nice, phonetically. All right. I have a proclamation for the Coon Rapids 2024 Ambassador of Goodwill. Whereas the Coon Rapids Snowflake Association has conducted its annual winter celebration in our community for 60 years, and it's provided a variety of community activities for our citizens while promoting Coon Rapids throughout the state of Minnesota. And whereas the Miss Coon Rapids Scholarship Program has conducted its annual pageant in our community for 59 years, and has provided a variety of scholarships for young women while promoting Coon Rapids throughout the state of Minnesota. And whereas through judging, including competition in talent, interview, evening wear, onstage question, health and fitness categories, Sophia Model was crowned Miss Coon Rapids 2024. And whereas Miss Coon Rapids will act as an ambassador for the city of Coon Rapids at parades, community events, and volunteer socials for a one-year period and promote goodwill and community stewardship within our own city during her reign. And whereas Sophia Model will represent the city of Coon Rapids at the Miss Minnesota pageant in June of 2024 to vie for the title of Miss Minnesota. Now, therefore, I, Jerry Cook, Mayor of the city of Coon Rapids, on behalf of the Coon Rapids City Council and the citizens, do hereby proclaim Miss Coon Rapids Sophia Model to be a Coon Rapids Ambassador of Goodwill. Be it further resolved that Miss Coon Rapids shall go forth within our community and neighboring communities throughout the state of Minnesota, throughout the state, to represent the citizens of Coon Rapids, spreading goodwill and friendship while participating in community celebrations, pageants, parades, and other civic activities and public events proclaimed this 16th day of April, 2024. Please introduce yourself and share your platform and anything else you'd like.
Hi, everyone. My name's Sophia Model. My community service initiative is Jot Your Thought, where I go into local schools and community centers and encourage more individuals to start journaling because it's so critical that we all use it as a source for self-expression or self-exploration. And I'm really excited to get into more communities and schools these next few months as your next Miss Coon Rapids. Thank you.
Excellent. There's that. How about that? You're good. Well, why don't you wait here, though? Why don't you come back up, because I think our next one has nothing to do with you. No, it does not. So, no, why don't we get Junior Royalty up and Miss Coon Rapids Teen, get you all up in front, kind of center yourself along the city council here. Do you have somebody like Tiffany or somebody who wants to take a picture? That'd be awesome. Get your proclamations lined up there. I'm going to be on this end, and then I can go away. Are you waiting for me to go away now? You should open the proclamation. Oh. Yeah, open them up. There you go. Tiffany, she won't come up, but she'll throw advice from the crowd. Okay, now I'm going to move over so you get your without me. Awesome. How about a big round of applause for them? Thank you. And we will see you in the parades. Do we have anybody here to receive this, Jonah, or just reading the proclamation?
If you just read it, please, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, perfect. All right. A lot less bling with this one. No crowns or anything, but very important nonetheless. We have a proclamation for our volunteer recognition. Whereas volunteers enrich the lives of many through their tremendous commitment and generosity, and whereas Coon Rapids has been blessed with citizens willing to volunteer their time, talent, and energy to improve the the quality of life in our community, and whereas in 2024, hundreds of volunteers will donate thousands of hours to the success of Coon Rapids Senior Services and its programs. And whereas the City Council is fortunate to have more than 70 citizen volunteers serving on advisory commissions, contributing to the overall well-being of the city. And whereas the City Council is fortunate to have several volunteers give their time at the recycling center, community events, and in our parks. And whereas volunteers are truly building stronger communities and are deserving of our special recognition for their energy and enthusiasm in strengthening communities throughout Minnesota. And now, therefore, I, Jerry Cook, Mayor of the City of Coon Rapids, on behalf of the Coon Rapids City Council, hereby recognize the valuable contributions made by volunteers for the enrichment and betterment of our community and express our gratitude to them for sharing their time and talents. Proclaimed the 16th day of April, 2024. So, yes, thank you to all of our volunteers. You guys are all of our new volunteers now, you know that, right? All these community events and parades and, all right. Next is to approve the minutes from the April 2nd, 2024 meeting.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Carlson.
motion to approve the minutes. Second.
Motion by Carlson and a second by Novak to approve the minutes of the April 2nd, 2024 meeting. Is there discussion or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And those minutes are approved. We have 4 items on our consent agenda this evening. The first one is to adopt Resolution 24-50 establishing new polling location for Precinct 2-3. The clerk's office has been informed by Presbyterian Church of the Master that due to reorganization and internal changes within the organization, Presbyterian Church of the Master is not available to be used as a polling location for the upcoming elections. The City of Coon Rapids thanks Presbyterian Church of the Master for their hospitality and for providing volunteers who worked to allow use of their building for elections. And the staff has secured the use of Sand Creek Elementary School, located at 12156 Olive Street, as a polling location for this precinct. Sand Creek Elementary School is located within the precinct boundaries of Precinct 2-3. All registered voters in Precinct 2-3 will receive a postcard in the mail indicating that they now vote at Sand Creek Elementary School. So we're looking to adopt Resolution 24-50, a resolution establishing polling location for Precinct 2-3 at Sand Creek Elementary School, 12156 Olive Street Northwest. The second item on our consent agenda is to approve memorandums of understanding for Project 23-19, 524 106th Avenue Drainage Repair. These agreements were necessary to complete a project to address a drainage issue within the rear yard of the property located at 524 106th Avenue Northwest. The project contemplates the removal of an existing wet well and pump system previously installed by the city and replacing it with 2 dry wells. The Memorandum of Understandings detail the terms of installation and long-term maintenance, as well as providing access for future maintenance. So we're looking to approve the 2 MOUs developed for Project 23-19, 524 106th Avenue Drainage Repair. The next item on our consent agenda, which is item 5 on our agenda this evening, is to adopt Resolution 24-51, accepting grant money from Federal Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant Program. The The city of Coon Rapids is receiving $121,480 as part of the Federal Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant Program. The city is receiving formula funding allocated based on city population, and the program is designed to assist local governments in implementing strategies to reduce energy use, to reduce fossil fuel emissions, and to improve energy efficiency. So at a work session in April 2023, the City Council requested that the city use the funding for LED lighting upgrades at various city buildings. This approach allowed the city to apply for a streamlined voucher for the funds, and that was approved. So we're looking to adopt Resolution 24-51, accepting grant money from the United States Department of Energy to be used for energy efficiency facility improvements. Item 6, which is our fourth and final item on the consent agenda, is to adopt Resolution 24-52, accepting a Twin Cities Gateway 2024 Member City Grant Agreement. The city participates in a regional convention and visitors bureau known as Twin Cities Gateway and receives an annual community member grant. The grant is based on the local option lodging taxes collected by the city and other member cities. The city of Coon Rapids will be receiving $27,210 from the 2024 Member City Marketing Grant. The city may use the grant funds for any purpose as specified and in accordance with the Minnesota state statute governing the local option lodging tax and established criteria identified by the Twin Cities Gateway Board in the attached agreement. The city may choose to use the grant funding for the promotion of an event, activity, or facility located within the city, or to add new activities to enhance existing events. Per the terms of the agreement, the city will also be required to document how the grant funding is used by providing copies of expense receipts or invoices. Similar to last year, staff is proposing the $17,000 of this grant be provided to the Community Strength Foundation for the purposes of supporting the 4th of July celebration and other community events that attract visitors to Coon Rapids. The balance of $10,000 will be used by staff to support various city marketing efforts. So we're looking to approve the 2024 Member City Marketing Grant Agreement, adopt Resolution 24-52, accepting the 2024 Member City Marketing Grant in the amount of $27,210, direct staff to contribute $17,000 of the grant funds to the Community Strength Foundation for the purpose of supporting the 4th of July celebration, fireworks, and other events that promote bringing visitors to Coon Rapids. And that is our complete consent agenda.
Your Honor,
Councilmember Novak.
move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Novak and a second by Geisler to approve the consent agenda. Is there any questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Griscoviac.
I just have one question, or maybe just a point of information on the MOU for Project 2319 consent agenda item number 2 or number 4 on the thing here. And I know that we've had some drainage issues in this area, and I know we want to address them, and I support that. But I was just wondering, just for my own sake, when was that existing well pump system installed, the one that we're replacing? And this is a question, I know it came from Mark Hansen. He's not here tonight, but maybe Tim Himmer can answer. Is it one that we've already tried to address?
Councilmember Griscoviac, I don't have the exact date that it was put in, but I can say we just didn't probably do a very good job in the solution that was there. So in addition to the time that it's been in the ground, it's not the right solution for that location. We believe this is a better now to address it and not pool everything in one person's yard, but yet share the responsibility on the property lines where drainage is coming from.
Okay, because I think I recall this with those issues, and the city did step up and said, we're going to take care of this because of subdivision. We were kind of responsible for it in the first place. So just, I'll follow up with Mark Hansen on that, just to have that for my own understanding for future reference. That's all I had.
Mr. Himmer, does this plan get rid of the PVC out into the curb line? Is it, that's this property, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct, Mr. Mayor. We'll be removing everything except we don't want to tear up his whole yard, so that PVC will just be abandoned in place, and the next time we go out there, we'll replace the curb.
I went over there to look at it, and the first thing I did was run over that pipe in the curb. He goes, oh! I went, it's in the curb. It's like where you park. This doesn't seem like a good idea. Fortunately, we were able to get it back in again. All right, we have a motion and a second on the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries.
Your Honor,
Councilmember Novak?
as much as I'm enjoying their company, we may want to just take a short break if they need to, so they can go somewhere, unless they're planning on staying for the entire meeting.
I think if they can either hang out or if they want to leave, they can. I'll bet they leave a lot quieter than all those cops and firefighters.
Okay,
You know?
okay.
So you're free to do whatever you want to do. Item 7. Oh, look at that. They're leaving. You gave me permission to leave.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Bye.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for being here. Item 7 is to consider a construction contract for the 2024 street sweeping project 24-13. Mr. Hammer?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Council, this is our annual street sweeping program, contracted responsibility. While our staff does do our own sweeping, we do some heavy sweeping in the spring and the fall as well. This used to be under our street maintenance program, but because of some of the funding that some cities use, it created some issues with state aid funding. So we removed it from that program. Every city now bids it individually. It's just an annual program for us with primarily heavy sweeping in the spring, this time of year, as well as in the fall after the leaves fall. So I'm happy to answer any questions on this project. I will say we're within the budget that's put into the city's 2025 budget. 2024 budget, I apologize.
Very good.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Armstrong?
Mr. Himmer, do you recall right offhand what we paid last year for this?
We're typically right around $100 an hour, I want to say, and it's been pretty consistent year over year.
Okay.
And that it's just what we're doing here is guessing how many hours we're going to use. So it will not exceed this amount, but if we do more individually, we can pull back from this contractor. So it's just an hourly rate.
Thank you.
Your Honor.
Councilmember Rayrower?
I make a motion to approve the construction contract with Allied Blacktop Company for 2024 street sweeping and authorize staff to execute the agreement.
Second?
Motion by Rayrower and a second by Novak. Is there further discussion or questions on this? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. Item 8 is to consider a construction contract for lighting upgrade project. Mr. Himmer?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Council, this is a companion to the consent item for the Federal Energy Efficiency Conservation Block. This is to award a construction contract. We received a few quotes on this work. We will be replacing or upgrading to LED lighting at both water treatment plants and portions of the ice arena. And between our facilities folks and our finance people, we've worked together to get to both items on the agenda tonight, so I'm happy to answer any questions about the work itself.
Very good. Anybody have any questions of Mr. Hammer?
Your Honor.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor. I think Councilor Rayrower was just slightly ahead of you.
I think so. She just edged me out on that one. All right.
Happy to have received this, these dollars, this grant, and like to thank our Olivia, who does some of this work, writing these types of grants. And with that, I would like to make a motion to approve the lighting upgrade construction contract with Phaser Electric for the base bid and alternate one, and authorize staff to execute the agreement.
Second?
Motion by Rayrower and a second by Carlson. Is there further discussion on this?
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Kraskowiak.
just a comment that it's nice to get $121,000 from the U.S. Department of Energy to support this. I mean, these are all tax-paying dollars that went into the federal government in the first place. It's nice to get them back in our community, and the fact that we can upgrade with LED at an additional, get all this done for an additional $5,000 out of our taxpayers' pockets is a great way to go.
Money out of their left pocket instead of their right pocket?
Yeah.
That kind of a thing?
At least we're getting it back.
All right, any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. Item 9 is to consider adoption of ordinances 2298, 2299, 2300, 2301, amending the city code sections 11-201, 11-601, 11-602, and 11-603, and I hope everybody knows exactly what that means. Okay. We had a presentation on this at our last council meeting when it was introduced. And Mr. Brown or Mr. Passner, is there anything that changed? I noticed we have a new layout in here. That was very nice. It was much easier to figure out where the changes were. Thank you for that. Anything else that you wanted to add to that this week?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. Just the two changes that were requested at the April 4th meeting. The change to 11-602, the LDR1 standards, to change the greenhouse setbacks from 15 feet in the rear and side yard to 10 feet to align with sheds. And then the change to 11-603, the LDR2 district, to change greenhouse setbacks from 10 feet in the rear and side yard to 5 feet in order to align with sheds. Other than that, it's the exact same amendment that was presented at the April 4th meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Can I just double check, because I read this probably 3 times today and it still wasn't clear. Well, I guess under all the definitions, we've changed the family, or we've changed the definition. Dwelling, 2-family, a building designed as a single structure containing 2 dwelling units, each of which is designed to be occupied as a separate independent residence. This could include a 0-lot line, 2-family dwelling, where one dwelling of the unit structure is on an individual lot, attached by a common wall or walls to an adjoining dwelling unit on a separate individual lot. And then under the principal uses and the general regulations, it says 2-family dwellings are permitted under MDR. Are we making 0-lot line homes okay again in MDR? Are we changing something here, or am I just having trouble understanding this?
It's really just including 2-family dwellings in the multifamily dwelling category, which are allowed in MDR. So these would be the same as townhomes in terms of how they're looked at. So if I'm understanding your question correctly, Mr. Mayor, this wouldn't be a change in policy, but just a change in the definition of 2-family dwellings to eliminate all of the extraneous definitions. So before you had a twin home and a 2-family home, there were like 4 different, and I apologize, I haven't memorized them all. There were 4 different definitions. Fine. It's consolidating them all into one and continuing to allow them in the MDR district as they have been in the past.
And I would note too that in the MDR district, we really require an HOA or some mechanism to maintain. So while currently we would just, if there were 2-family units in the MDR district, we would kind of classify it as a 2-unit townhouse, whereas this just makes things clear. If you were concerned about the sort of party wall agreement situation, that still wouldn't really be allowed even in MDR.
Okay, and that was kind of the rest of my question, was as long as we do require HOAs in MDR, then I'm good with twin homes. Yeah. Okay. Sorry for dragging that out. Anybody else have any questions, or?
No. Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Geisler?
In planning case 24-4, I make a motion to adopt ordinances 2298, 2299, 2300, 2301, and revising the low-density residential standards and amending city code sections 11-201, 11-601, 11-602, and 11-603, and authorize summary publication.
Second.
Motion by Geisler and a second by Rayrower. Is there further discussion on this?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Carlson?
I just want to thank staff for changing that, well, for everything on this. It's a lot, there's a lot going on there. I also just want to thank staff for that quick action on the setbacks for greenhouses. Government usually acts a lot slower than that. And I sure appreciate how quickly you got that turned around. That was really good.
And Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Geisler?
Yeah, I was going to thank staff. And this may seem kind of redundant and, kind of boring kind of stuff for those of you guys at home, but it's great that our staff is looking at our ordinances and looking at our codes to make sure that we're keeping up with things, that we're keeping things cleaner and easier for our residents to be able to read them and use them, and being more consistent all the way through. So it's a constant process where we're updating and revising, but I think staff did a great job pulling all these things together.
All right.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Armstrong?
Just real quick, like for clarification, if people weren't aware, this was first brought to my attention anyways 2 weeks ago at by a citizen of Coon Rapids at an open mic session. And he had done his homework and his research, and he had emailed all of us on it to talk to us about it, and had all his ducks in a row and made a lot of sense. So in 2 weeks, the staff was able to look at it and say, this makes sense, and flip it. So 2 weeks is pretty doggone quick. Sure is.
But in fairness, that was like 1% of all of the work staff did here.
Yeah.
Correct.
And it was very handy that we were already looking at it.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
so
the
it
timing was
perfect. Easy to make the tweak versus if this wasn't on our agenda.
Yes.
So.
Okay, further discussion? We have a motion and a second. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. Item 10 is to consider adoption of Ordinance 2302, amending Chapter 5-2000 for lawful gambling. Again, this was introduced at our last council meeting 2 weeks ago. Does anybody have any questions of Ms. Lensmeyer, or anything you want to tell us? Anything changed or anything? 2 weeks?
I've got nothing further unless there are questions, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Your Honor.
Councilmember Novak?
Move to adopt Ordinance 2302, amending Chapter 5-2000, lawful gambling.
Second.
Motion by Novak and a second by Geisler. Is there discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Carlson?
Just want to say how much I appreciate these changes. Good for our nonprofits and good for our businesses.
Very good. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that motion is adopted. Item 11 was another introduction at our last council meeting, and that's to consider adoption of Ordinance 2303, adding Chapter 6-900, regulation of pet stores. Mr. Brody, this is all just as it was introduced 2 weeks ago?
It is, Your Honor.
All right. Anybody have any questions on this?
Your Honor.
Councilmember Rayrauer?
I make a motion to adopt Ordinance 2303 to add Chapter 6-900, regulation of pet stores, that would prohibit a pet store from selling or otherwise transferring dogs or cats.
Second.
Motion by Rayrauer and a second by Novak. Is there discussion?
Your Honor.
Councilmember Novak?
I just want to say that I was shocked that this ordinance didn't already exist. So I want to thank everyone for putting this up and getting this introduced, because while we may not have this issue today, by putting it on the books, we can make sure that this problem does not become an issue going forward.
Further discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Carlson?
Yeah, I just want to concur with Councilmember Novak on that. Yeah, it's just, who knows, right? Who knows what business may come in next week, and I'm just glad we were able to do something proactive.
Seems like about the most non-controversial thing we've looked at. It just,
Yeah, it was
just
pretty
makes
easy.
sense.
Yeah.
Still
Mayor.
took quite a while, though.
Yeah.
Councilmember
I'll
Griskowiak?
just make a comment, because I commented on it last time, but I wanted to thank, the people that put the effort in this, get this in front of us and educate me, and I think educate some of the other members on the city council too. It was just a great thing, and I'm glad that our community is involved in this and can bring this to us and that we can act on it. So I'm glad to support this.
All right.
I just have one quick comment. I know there's some state legislation that's been introduced. I don't think it's gone very far, but if folks want to sort of move on to the next level. Accomplish what they've accomplished here. They can certainly do that.
All right, well, hang on, we're not done yet. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Now it's done. And I'm really happy now, because I've forgotten. I thought, why are they all here? Are we going to have a lot of trouble at open mic tonight, or what? All right, that is passed. We are on to item 12 under new business. consider wetland banking credits purchase agreement for the Coon Creek Trail. Thank you all. Mr. Himmer?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Council, this is one of the final pieces as we advance construction on the Coon Creek Trail. There was just under an acre of wetland impacts associated with this for that work. This requires the mitigation at a 2-to-1, so we will be purchasing credits from an approved bank within the same watershed, and this satisfies that requirement. So I'm happy to answer any questions about this. All right. And I will add, it was included in the budget that was already approved, total project budget that we discussed the last time when we awarded the construction funds.
Well, he did really good. He was looking at me, he wasn't looking at you. Any questions of Mr. Himmer on this?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Armstrong.
If I could ask Mr. Himmer just kind of what do you want to call it, a tutorial on this whole agreement, if you could do that for like wetlands for dummies.
Are you wondering what we're actually purchasing?
How exactly is this?
I kind of look at it as the same as like carbon credits or something. You just go, yeah, whatever.
That's what I was wondering.
So Councilmember Armstrong, there are locations that maybe as part of a different project expand wetlands beyond what they're required to do, or there are some people with conservation properties and other things that develop wetlands, which then it can be like a little business for them, in which they have credits that they've created, and when projects come along within the same watershed, same type of credits, these individuals get to put it up for sale. It goes into the wetland bank down at Bowser. They certify everything. So when you come along and you don't have the ability necessarily to mitigate on site or develop something else within the site, they say, well, these types, these locations, here are a few banks that you can choose from, and then you kind of go out onto the market and you kind of bid on credits, and this is where we end up going and buying these credits for a project because we don't have room to do it ourselves within the space.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions from Mr. Himmer?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Griscoviac?
I just want to clarify that this wetland banking credit in the amount of $129,000 or so, right, is included in the contract to Blackstone contractors for 1.431.
No, Councilmember Griscoviac, that was not included in that contract. But if you recall, the total budget on this was about 1.7. So I said we were about a $200,000 difference. However, we had savings on some of our other miscellaneous trail projects within the Park Improvement Fund, miscellaneous park improvements. So I think we came back with about a $75,000 difference that we were going to have to tap the Park Improvement Fund to cover that difference. So it wasn't included in the construction contract itself, but it was included in the total project budget that I referenced at that time.
Okay, so when I asked that question at our last council meeting, and you gave me those numbers, this wetland credit was included in that number.
Correct.
And we do the math, and with inflation, we're still basically within budget on this project. Okay, thank you for letting me clarify that. And then the other one is, do we have any other permitting or anything that's going to hold us back that might add a cost?
No.
Are we there?
As we stand right now, Councilmember Griscoviac, we just have to update a couple of plan sheets for some erosion control items for the watershed permit. But other than that, we are set to go.
All right. Sounds good.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Geisler?
I'll make the motion to approve the purchase agreement for wetland banking credits and authorize the mayor and city manager to execute the agreement.
Second.
Motion by Geisler and a second by Armstrong. Is there any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. Item 13 is to consider a new memorandum of understanding with the Anoka-Hennepin School District. And this is kind of based under our new school resource officer law, Mr. Steiner. Chief?
That's correct, Mr. Mayor. As you recall, 2023, we didn't start the school year in the schools due to the legislative changes in the school discipline law. Then we re-entered in November under some binding opinion from the Attorney General. When we did that, we had to create a new MOU. We were the only agency that went back in Anoka-Hennepin initially. And so we created an MOU just for that to kind of address some of our concerns with the legal climate, I guess, there, for lack of a better term. As you know, then, they have now addressed our concerns in the current legislative session. and really address the new laws to our satisfaction and in general and law enforcement satisfaction. So there are some new things they put in there, some requirements for training, some terms and contractual duties and whatnot, nothing that we have any concern about, but after discussing it with Mr. Brody, we felt we talked about whether we could ride the year out, but we felt we needed to address it in the new MOU and make it clear. And so we did that in collaboration with some of the other municipal agencies and the county attorney's office. And we came up with an MOU that looks very similar to the one we've operated under for many years, just added some terms and whatnot to it to bring it into compliance with the new legislation. And so it's our recommendation that we ask you to approve the MOU. It'll get us through the remainder of this school year, and then we'll do it again next year.
Okay.
All right.
You're on it.
Councilmember Rayrower?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's great. I think making sure that all parties have an understanding and agreement and it's written and it's approved is the way to go. So with that, I will make a motion to enter into a new memorandum of understanding with the Anoka Hennepin School District for the remainder of the 2023-2024 school year.
Second.
Motion by Rayrower and a second by Carlson. Is there further discussion on this?
Your Honor.
Councilmember Novak?
I obviously will work with this. I certainly trust Chief Steiner and staff to say that this is exactly what we need. I just want to emphasize that had it not been for the unwillingness of our governor and the lawmakers in St. Paul to listen to all sides from the very beginning, none of this would have been necessary in the first place. And I hope that in the future, they will do that.
Yeah, maybe setting the bar kind of high.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Carlson?
Yeah, this should have never happened, but it's done. Here we are.
Here we
And
are.
I read the MOU, and look, I mean, from what I remember in the past, it looked, very reasonable. The main thing, Chief, is that you feel like it's reasonable. Mr. Brody feels like it's reasonable. That's the main thing, and if you're happy with it, I'm happy with it.
Yep. Well, and JLEC is disbanding their SRO ad hoc committee, so I assume that kind of means that everybody's happy with it. All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. Open mic. Anybody here for open mic this evening to address council? Anybody here to address council for open mic? All right, yes, sir.
I didn't expect you, Mayor.
All right, well, come on up. Oh, no. Got to go to the mic there, give us your name and address, and then you got 3 minutes.
Are you sure you want me on this? I'm pretty last.
Just saying, if you're going to talk.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening to the council. I'm Don Willits, and I'm part of Ward 2, Precinct 3, the one that you just changed our voting precinct back to Sand Creek again. Thank you for that. Now I'll remember where to go again. I wanted to bring attention to our council in regards to an issue that's been a bit of a beating thing on my heart for a number of years. I'm in the insurance world, and we live in Coon Rapids, an environment that is perpetually hit by storms year after year, and we suffer significant damages to our property, our real estate, our vehicles, etc. In the insurance world, and this may be something you're not aware of, but inside the insurance world, insurance companies have been using non-licensed adjusters to inspect people's dwellings to determine whether or not there is significant damage related to a peril. This is extremely significant because these unlicensed adjusters are not trained. They do not understand what peril damage looks like versus simple wear and tear. And in many scenarios, homeowners are left short-changed and unable to fix their homes because they believe that the insurance companies have done a proper job inspecting their home and completely unaware that the person out there is completely unqualified to do this work. I would like to have a discussion with the city about moving to have an ordinance put in place to ban this practice. And under Minnesota state law, adjusters are required to be licensed to inspect. But yet Minnesota doesn't recognize these non-licensed adjusters that are basically liaison or photo takers for insurance companies that bring that information back with their opinions. this practice should be outlawed and not allowed in our city because it does shortchange our homeowners, our business owners and else, where they don't get the proper money to repair their dwellings correctly. Personally, I think it's something that people should be fully aware of. It's been something that beats on me. I've been in the business for a long time, and I travel all over the country helping people out, getting the proper funds to fix their homes. And I just think it's a shame that the state hasn't fixed this, and I would like Coon Rapids to be the pioneer in the state to starting to ban this disgusting practice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. And no talking points. That was from the heart. Hi.
My name is Ashley Riddle. I'm co-president of the Animal Rights Coalition, and I've communicated with a couple of you. And although I'm not a resident of Coon Rapids, I just want to thank you wholeheartedly, Mayor, city staff, for passing this humane pet store ordinance. I've worked closely on this issue for about 6 years, and I've heard some pretty heart-crushing stories, and not just about the animals, but consumers who've been put out a lot of money and experience a lot of heartache. So thank you so much. And beyond that, I just want to commend you. You're such a fun council, and you respect each other, and it's very refreshing to see. So thank you.
Ditto. My name is Aaron Zollhofer. I am the State Director for the Humane Society of the United States, and I just want to say thank you so much, and I do want to echo the City Attorney's comments tonight. If this is to continue on the state level and anybody's looking at moving it on the state level, we'd love to work with you. Thank you so much for taking this up tonight.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, anybody else here to address council for open mic? Okay, we'll close open mic. And we actually have 3 responses from previous open mics. Tracy Dillard appeared before the council with concerns about the condition of the Northdale Shopping Center. She expressed concern about the overall condition of the shopping center. In recent weeks, city staff has been working with the property manager to remove graffiti, and staff has visited the property on recent occasions and has not identified other issues that currently escalate to the level of property maintenance violations. However, staff will continue to monitor the property and will work with the property owner if additional issues arise. I was reported today that the graffiti has been painted over. So, as for the future of the property, it is not currently listed for sale. However, staff plans to remain in contact with the property owner about future plans in light of the recent announcement that Jensen's Foods, a longtime tenant, intends to depart the shopping center. Next one, open mic response on greenhouse setbacks. I don't even think we have to go over that one. That one got beat into the ordinance really fast, and we're already done. And then our last open mic was concerns related to Woodgrass Park Disc Golf Course and parking along 101st. Mr. Shackle stated the final disc golf hole layout is a safety concern for people walking the trails within the park and referenced potential cigarette, alcohol, and drug use by the users of the facility. He requested the city shut down the course or at a minimum eliminate the final hole from play. Hole 21 is a challenging hole that is integral to the course, and city staff have not experienced any issues or received reports from other members of the public with a similar concern. The disc course was developed to provide adequate challenge for all skill levels and abilities, which this hole provides, so modifying the course is not a consideration at this time. Should the course ever experience a redesign, staff could review such revisions to determine if an alternative plate layout could be provided near this location. He also referenced excessive parking on 101st Avenue near the park and requested potential parking restrictions for park users. This item will be referred to the city's traffic review committee for investigation at their next regularly scheduled meeting. Following review, information on the topic will be forwarded back to Mr. Shackle. And that is the response to all 3 of our open mics from last meeting. And we are up to other business. Are we?
Yes.
I thought you frowned there for a second. I thought maybe I missed something.
Mayor, Council, if I may take the first item under other business. I listed an item under other business, which is a little bit unusual. However, there were a lot of things in play last Friday afternoon, and I wanted to at least have an opportunity for council to have discussion, if necessary, with regard to some legislative changes that are being considered currently. In particular, there have been a number of preemption bills seeking to remove authorities from local government. This happens every year. Some of them pass, a lot of them don't. However, there were several this year that were particular concern to some of our partner agencies like the League of Minnesota Cities and Metro Cities and North Metro Mayors Association. And last week I was contacted several times by some of those partner organizations as well as some other communities asking if the city would provide sort of their formal input on one piece of specific legislation relating to housing and zoning authority that the local agencies currently exercise on a regular basis. I won't go into all the details of that bill, but I did want to draw council's attention to that specific piece of legislation because it does really fundamentally change the way that cities might be able to sort of control or approve large multifamily projects or other projects in the future. I think under sort of the understanding that with this need to address the shortage of housing in the region. However, I think there are a lot of long-term considerations that are being glossed over in this legislation. So rather than ask council to approve some sort of resolution because this body hasn't been able to have that conversation in a work session or as a part of our legislative platform, what I did instead was send out a draft letter to the council members yesterday. And my thought is that if council members are interested in signing that as individuals, you could let me know. I'll circulate that. Tomorrow we'll get that out to our representatives and the committee chairs of those committees that might consider this piece of legislation so they know that at least that the signatories of the letter have an official position on it, but I didn't want to put the body of the council in any particular position to vote on because really, again, we haven't had a lot of conversation as it relates to it. So I did circulate that. I did want to at least explain that tonight and allow council, if they'd like to have some discussion, provide any additional feedback to that letter or that policy. I will mention that, as I understand it, the Senate version of that housing zoning bill was in the local government committee today and did hit a snag. There was an amendment that was passed ultimately that then led to that bill being tabled in that committee, which doesn't mean it's not moving forward, but certainly makes it more difficult, I think, at least in the Senate side, to have that piece of legislation progress any further. So that's sort of hot off the press. I was actually texting the executive director of Metro Cities before and during the meeting to get the scoop on what was going on there, and she did confirm those details. But I still think it's worth, if for those who are interested in signing this letter, in doing so that we can communicate that to our representatives. And the reality is these things will come up again in the future legislative sessions, and each one is unique, and we'll have to address it again at that time. But I think it's good to let folks know what our opinion is of some of these things. And while though maybe well-intentioned in some respects, I think really does strip the local government's ability to sort of consider the unique circumstances of each application and how they might apply in their community and what those implications are. So with that, I'll step aside, and if council has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Mr. Stemwell, I thought that the letter that you put together was very well done. You know, several of them threw groups under the bus, threw people under the bus. Yours did none of that. It specifically said we would like to maintain local municipal control, and because of that, we're opposed to HF 4010 and SF 1370. I just thought you did a very good job, and personally, I would like to sign the letter myself tonight, if you're handing it around.
Sure.
Your Honor.
Councilmember Rayrower?
I would just add to that we do know, and actually we had a report from someone come to a work session and talk about this, that there is going to be a massive housing crunch. There is already now, and it's going to continue to get worse in the future, especially for affordable housing, senior housing, multi-family dwellings. And so something for us to think about as a council is how we can encourage, although we have our fully developed city, how we can encourage and help out with this housing crisis.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Carlson?
I think the letter is great. I just want the state to stay out of our planning and development. It's not their business. I don't like the state asserting their authority over our city. So I'm happy to sign it.
All right. Councilmember Novak?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that one entirely. We know our city. We know how it needs to be developed. And again, I agree with Councilmember Rayrauer as well. We did have that expert come in. And, you know, all cities out there are pretty much being asked to develop anything they can at this point because they all really need everything. But one thing that she did mention is that Coon Rapids, because of its current status, is really in the market for that second home. Not necessarily the first home that people have when they are first moving in, but that family who's getting a little bit larger, who needs some more space. That's what they're looking to do. And that's where I will be looking to possibly develop if we can.
Mr. Mayor?
Okay. Councilmember Geisler?
Yeah, so City Manager, Matt, I think the letter was right on point, well constructed. Because if you look at the legislation that's there, and you step back and look at, well, what's the intent? The intent is to try and meet a need in the state of more affordable housing. Perfect intent, good thing to be thinking about. The problem is the laws as they've been written are not necessarily the right way to execute those, because it takes the control away from a city and kind of paints every city within the entire state with the same brush. And what we need in Coon Rapids is not what they need in Minneapolis. It's not what you need in St. Cloud. It's not what you need in my hometown of Belle Plaine. Every city is different, and so being able to retain that control of that planning and development at a city level is important, so we can address the uniquenesses of our city. That doesn't mean that we don't support meeting the housing needs of our residents. Absolutely, we are going to be doing that, but we need to be able to do it with the tools that we've got within our city to be able to do it for the right way for our residents. So I'm happy to sign the letter as well.
Mr. Mayor?
Okay. Oh, Councilmember Preskoviak?
And I would agree with that wholeheartedly. I would like to sign on to the letter. Not only does this legislation take away the control of the city, but when you look at it, it actually takes away control of the people that live here. The people that live here that are fully vested in their communities, in the neighborhoods where they have, that have lived here a long time, that have watched the development, that have participated, it takes away that kind of control. And for me, I just definitely, everything I want to do to make sure that members of our community get to participate fully in this process. And so that's why I would want to encourage this letter and this opposition to this legislation.
All right. I think we're good on that, Mr. Stinwell.
Mayor, Council, I appreciate that. Actually, as you were discussing it, I printed the signature page, and I'll grab that before you all depart today, and you can put a wet signature on that, and I'll distribute that tomorrow.
Okay.
All right, very good.
And then,
Other
Mayor?
business?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
And I may call on Mr. Himmer for this one, too. So our hydrant flushing in the city has started. And so if you live south of Highway 10, and what happens there is they flush out the water mains, and what that happens is then it changes the way the water is flowing, which means sediment or things that are in the system get stirred up a little bit. Sometimes that's iron, which means you might be seeing some brown water. It's not unsafe to drink. It just doesn't look very good. But it's necessary to be able to maintain these systems and to clean those systems out. So just know that, yep, maybe don't wash your whites the day that your water is maybe a little brown. Save that for another day. But it is safe, and it's about how we can protect our water in our systems and keep our systems functioning well. So, and then I'll just defer to Mr. Himmer if there's anything else specifically that you would want to add to that.
I would add, Councilmember Geisler, that you should become the spokesperson for Public Works. Bring that up at our Night to Unite, our neighborhood meetings. You did an excellent job. It's necessary for us to do. We do it every spring, half of the city at a time. Well worth the time, and it's needed for our infrastructure and our investments.
So,
I was chuckling as I drove by the car wash on Coon Rapids Boulevard and Direct River Drive because they've just sold. So they're closed right now, waiting for the new owners to take over. And they were flushing the hydrant outside there. And I thought, oh, great, the first time they open that valve, they're going to get a load of rusty water in that brand-new car wash, but with the new owners. Mr. Stemwaddle, we have a different kind of a meeting next Tuesday that we should remind folks of, correct?
Yes, Mayor and Council, it's the Local Board of Appeal and Equalization, which sounds very bureaucratic, but essentially what it is if you're a property owner in Coon Rapids, you would have received a value notice in March for your property, and it communicates what the assessor's value is proposed to increase or decrease by for taxes payable 2025. And this is really your the property owner's opportunity to start that appeal process if they feel like there are issues with that assessment. I will encourage folks, if you noticed your value and you have concerns about why it's changing or how much it's changing by, to contact our city assessors division, because more often than not, they're able to explain to you what happened and why it happened, and that usually satisfies people. Or perhaps the assessor's office is making some assumptions about your property because they haven't been able to inspect it for some time, and there may be something like they think your basement's fully remodeled and updated, and it isn't. And once you communicate that, they are able to make some adjustments to your property value. So if someone, however, isn't satisfied with that process and they do want to start that process, the first step is to appear before the Local Board of Appeal and Equalization, which is the body of the city council members, to initiate that appeal. You also have other opportunities down the road, whether it be the county or through state tax law, to take a look at that. So again, I would suggest if you have those questions, call now. 9 times out of 10, you get an answer that you understand, and that's where everything ends. But if not, there's a process for that, and we encourage you to follow through on that.
Thank you. Other business to come before council.
Mr. Mayor?
Just
Just a couple of points, real quick, like the recycle center that we have here in Coon Rapids, with it being, I hope I'm not going to jinx anybody, but potentially spring now. There's a lot of spring house cleaning being done, and I'm hauling stuff over to the recycle center all the time, and they have not told me no yet. Their list just continues to expand. And if you got the big things like appliances, monitors, TVs, etc., the prices for turning those in are very, very, very reasonable. Mm-hmm. So I would encourage you to, if you haven't gone out on our webpage and looked at what's all available for services over at the recycle center, they do a fantastic job. The other point, again, since we all like to be good neighbors to each other, this is the kind of time of year where we start having our fire pits and our recreational fires, et cetera, et cetera. Just a reminder, because I got an earful this weekend, please don't burn the leaves and the punky wood and whatever else in the middle of your yard or wherever, because it was kind of like the whole city looked like it was on fire over in our certain areas, smoke pouring in, and everybody likes to enjoy being outside. Let's make sure that it smells good and your eyes aren't burning because you decided to not be so neighborly.
As a reminder, the wood that you burn in your outside fire pit is the same wood you would burn in your inside fireplace. Mm-hmm. It's not for brush, it's not for leaves, it's not for anything else but good, clean firewood. It's to enjoy a campfire. Mm-hmm. And please don't ruin it for everyone.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Novak?
Just very quick, I do want to let the council know that the first beehive from the first permit is out. My wife got it out yesterday. So, folks, if you want to get your beehives, just talk to the permit area. Who would that be? Joan, would that be you?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Novak, no, that's the Planning Community Development Department.
Planning, okay. So yeah, by all means, go ahead and get that. You're going to need to get them out pretty quick because you still need to contact the breeders and get your bees. So, lots of fun. Hope to make some mead later on this year.
All right. Any other business to come before council?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion by Carlson, seconded by Novak to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned.